Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today I am going to make an arrangement. It is a fall arrangement in a glass container and they wanted it extremely showy. So that's what we're going to try to do, is make an extremely showy arrangement in our $100 price range. I'm starting out with just a pretty glass container. It has been filled with fresh floral food, water and fresh floral food. So it's ready to go. I'm going to start out with a little leather leaf. And what the leather leaf is going to do is give us a grid in this container. Taking my floral knife, cutting that stem at an angle, tucking it right into that vase. So I'm just going to go all the way around in the container. Now what this leather leaf helps us do is it gives us a little bit of a grid in that vase and helps us to hold all those flowers in place, which is really nice. And it doesn't really need a whole lot. I just need some to keep us upright. All right, there we go. Next, we're going to come in with a little bit of fall leaves. So I got some fall oak leaves from Budsy, which is it is my go-to for all of our flowers. A whole lot of our greenery comes from this company. Now, the only thing with these oak leaves is they came in colors that I was not expecting. They did have some that were in a white, and you can kind of see the base of this leaf is white. I took some everyday Rust-Oleum paint. This is in gold, and I popped these leaves with just a little bit of gold. She wanted this arrangement fancy, so I thought it would be fun to add the gold to these leaves. Taking my knife, cutting that stem at an angle. Now you can order your oak leaves and they come in like a fall color. I think that I pushed the wrong button and ordered them in more, they came in kind of pastel colors, and they're really pretty, but I find they look more fall if you'll pop them with a little more color. And so you can use just over-the-counter spray paint to spray paint your leaves and give them the color you want. So I just filled my container with our gold painted oak leaves, which is really kind of fun. Next, we're going to come in with some Bells of Ireland as our line flower. So we're going to use just some traditional green bells. Excuse me sniffing. I went to the football game last night and sitting out there kind of in the grass and I've got allergies serious. So I'm taking those bells. I pinched the tip right out of that bell. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle and tuck these bells right in. Now I just pinched the tip out because to me it just looks better. But if you like those leaves, leave them in. It's not going to hurt a thing. So I'm just kind of tucking my bells all the way through this arrangement. Again, we want this guy as tall and showy as we can get him. Okay, so there's our Bells of Ireland. See how they give us some height for showiness? Next, let's come in with our hydrangeas. So we have some white hydrangeas that I'm going to tint green. So there's our white hydrangeas. I'm going to pull those sleeves off of them, and I'm going to pull that foliage off. Now, let me tell you this. When you're painting fresh flowers, do not use hardware store paint, okay? You're gonna want to use a floral paint made specifically for flowers. So this is called Just for Flowers flower paint. I'm gonna slide this over just a hair. Just for Flowers flower paint. And so this is actually in a fresh green. Now the reason I'm popping and I'm really just very little paint is required. I'm popping it with fresh green so that it looks a little more fall than the white one. I'm going to cut that flower at an angle and just nestle that right down into that arrangement. Now I don't have my quick dip in here, so that's the reason behind not dipping it. It's not a big deal. It's not going to kill the flower if I don't dip it. Take all that foliage off that flower. Pop him with a little bit of that paint. Cut that stem at an angle. And then nestle him right down into that water. Be sure he's pretty deep in the water. I really like this greenery. I'm just popping it with just a little bit of that green paint, not too much, just enough. Cut that stem at an angle and nestle him right in. So we have three hydrangeas just nestled all the way around. Okay, next we're going to come in. Let's see what's next. Let's come in with our sunflowers. So we have these beautiful, very large fall sunflowers. I want to say they're called firewalkers. The reason is because they have that little bit of burgundy on those petals. Just a beautiful, beautiful sunflower. They're pretty large too and showy. So I'm going to take the smaller blooms so you can see the difference. We've got some small blooms and some larger blooms. Our smaller blooms are going to go higher in the arrangement. Now the reason we do that, the reason we have our smaller blooms up higher and our open, more large blooms down at the bottom is visual weight. Now, I know that kind of sounds funny, but visual weight, what that means is visually, the smaller ones look lighter. The larger ones look heavier. So in an arrangement, I want you to always think about that. I want you to always put the smaller bloom up higher in the arrangement and the larger bloom down in the bottom. If you do this, you will start to see what I mean. Once I say it, it'll make a huge difference when you look at an arrangement. But yes, you're always going to want to think about visual weight. And it's the same with color. Darker colors look heavier than lighter colors. And so, say you're going to do a balloon bouquet. And in your balloon bouquet, look at those. Look how fantastic those sunflowers are. In a balloon bouquet, you're going to put 3 balloons. Let's say you have a yellow balloon, an orange balloon, and a dark purple balloon. Well, visually, the dark purple balloon looks heavier than the yellow balloon. So I always stagger those by, the yellow is the lightest color, so it goes towards the top, and the purple is the darkest color, so it goes toward the bottom. And did I say orange? The orange balloon would be in the middle of their color scheme, of their colors. So that's the reason I put the purple down towards the bottom. It's interesting how visual weight works. All right, so there's a couple more suns tucked in over here. Let's move this guy. So there's our sunflowers. Aren't they so pretty? Tucked in. Okay. Sunflowers are tucked in. Let's come in with some hypericum berries. These are a pretty maroon colored hypericum coffee berry. A hypericum berry comes in lots of colors, and they paint beautifully too. So if you wanted to pop them with a little bit of that gold paint, you can. And it's not going to hurt them. You can always use hardware store paint on berries and foliage. You want to always use flower paint on flowers. Hardware paint has different chemicals in it that will cause those flowers to brown. So you always want to be real careful when using hardware store paint on fresh florals. Now I have very often used like the golds and silvers and things like that on foliage. It does not hurt it at all. But just be aware that it can hurt fresh flowers. And if that's all you have, try it. See if it'll work. See if it hurts the flowers. If it hurts flowers, obviously don't spray them all, right? Always use one stem as your test. I'm removing the foliage on these hypericum berries because the foliage doesn't always look lovely. And so I just pulled that right off. All right, there's our pretty burgundy berries tucked into this arrangement. I do love those oak leaves. They make me happy. Okay, next we're gonna come in with some orange roses. So we have, you've seen me use these this week because I love them. These are called orange crush roses. Really a beautiful orange rose. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wire each of these stems. I'm gonna pull off some of this foliage because it's not necessary. And you don't want the foliage to fall below the water line. Remove any petals that don't look beautiful. Pop those right off. I'm going to take just a florist wire and I am going to press that wire right into that calyx and just twist it right around. I'm going to do that with each of these roses. I always suggest if your rose has pretty foliage like this, see how pretty that foliage is on there? Leave it on there. It's an added foliage to your arrangement. It didn't cost you a thing. And if it looks pretty, leave some of it on there. Don't waste it by stripping all those roses. Leave some of that pretty foliage in place. Now if it doesn't look good, definitely take it off. But if it does look pretty, leave it. It sure helps to fill up an arrangement. So I'm just taking each of these roses and I'm just wiring their heads, removing any of the petals that don't look the nicest. You're never going to hurt this rose if you have to peel it back a little bit, but be careful not to over peel it back. Meaning don't remove too many of those petals. If you remove too many, it's just pretty much going to fall apart. And if it's damaged enough that you have to remove that many, well, that means it's not a good rose to use in an arrangement. Another little tip to talk about roses is, say you go to your local grocery store and you want to pick up just a bundle of pretty roses for your home. Here's how you check roses. So I want you to take your pointer finger and your thumb and I want you to pinch it right down here at the bottom of that rose. If that rose is really firm, buy those roses. If it's really soft, kind of like a marshmallow, if it's mushy, you do not want to purchase it. Because if it's soft, it just means there's not a whole lot of life left. If it's tight, if it's firm, it means those will last a few more days for you. So always check your roses when you purchase those. It's just going to ensure that you have longer lasting flowers. So I'm just going to take these roses, I'm going to cut them at an angle using my floral knife, just like that. Cut that stem at an angle, and I'm just nestling those right into this pretty arrangement. Now we are adding pretty blooms all the way around in this vase. We want this arrangement to be pretty on all sides. Now, not every arrangement is done like this, okay? And it all depends on the amount of money you have, obviously. All right, there's our pretty orange roses. Look how pretty this arrangement is. So pretty and bold. So we're going to add some cattails to this arrangement. I am going to pull off the foliage. It's brown. Now, for most arrangements, I like the brown. For this arrangement, it's a little fancier, so I am going to pull the foliage off. But you can absolutely leave it on. Don't feel like you have to pull it off, but just because she wants this a little fancy, I went ahead and pulled that off. I'm taking my floral knife. I'm going to tuck just a few of these cattails in here. Now this one, its foliage looks pretty. I'm going to leave it on. I think 2 is probably plenty. put one more. Odd numbers just look better visually, so I am gonna put one more just because odd numbers do look better. I'm nestling that guy in there. And then I may come into the top of this arrangement and I'm gonna trim those little brown tips just because I think it might look prettier. Okay, so there are our cattails. Now see how showy those cattails make this arrangement? They make it really showy. So this is called rice flower. I actually tinted it with some Just for Flowers paint. Actually, this is called Design Master. It's a Design Master paint. Just for Flowers is also made by Design Master. Just for Flowers is actually a transparent floral dye, and the regular Design Master is a satin finish paint. So it's more like the paint that you would buy from your local hardware store, except it's made specifically for flowers. So I'm gonna take, I just thought the burgundy would be a perfect fall color. I'm gonna just take a couple of this rice, a couple stems of the rice flower and tuck it in. I just think it really makes such a pretty, it's such a pretty texture, and so it makes it really nice. Oh, this is pretty. Okay, so to finish this little arrangement up, I'm going to show you really quickly how to paint a few of these aspidistra leaves. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take my gold paint, which is the paint that I picked up at our hardware store, our local hardware store. Goodness, my nose is itching. I'm going to take it and just pop that leaf a little bit with that gold paint. See how it shimmers? It doesn't take very much. I'm not wanting to cover the leaf completely. I'm just wanting to add just a touch of gold. Just a little touch, and I'm going to cut that stem at an angle. And I'm going to pop these guys right down into this arrangement. I like to use gold paint in the fall and at Christmas time because it really does make things look a little fancier. Kind of fun. Just gives it a little bit of fun color. Guys, there is our pretty fall arrangement. If you have any questions about how we put our flower arrangements together, or any questions about anything floral shop related, please don't hesitate to ask. You can drop that comment down, and you can drop that question down in the comments below, and we are so happy to answer that question. Or you can certainly send us a message through Messenger over on Facebook. You can certainly do it that way too. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. If you have not already subscribed to our channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell and you'll get notifications for when we have a brand new video. Y'all have a great day.